What do you think about the Ace Bailey situation? The way he avoided going to kind of a good team, because right now they changed the lottery rules and you got a lot of good teams kind of moving up in the draft. And also at the same time, he took a lot of criticism, but there was a lot of people, the same people were very quiet about the Bronny situation when he was making phone calls and made sure that they went to LA.
Bro, I'm gonna be honest with Ace Bailey.
Bro, this is not the first time a player has tried to pull their weight. Remember Steph Curry tried to pull his weight with the Sacramento Kings and New York Knicks. He avoided up until he had to report to the team of trying to have communications with the Golden State Warriors. His father even went as far as to have a direct meeting with Donnie Nelson. He told him, "Yo, we're not interested." So for me, I didn't really take it as a big deal.
No,
Ace Bailey's gonna get paid.
boy, hold on. But peep the way I asked you it, right? Because you got to keep this in mind. The difference between Stephen Curry in 09 versus now, there were no good, supposedly contending teams picking first. So in today's NBA, because the way they changed everything, you got teams that should not be in the top 4 picks. You got them picking.
Yeah, like the Dallas Mavericks
Exactly.
and the Atlanta Hawks the previous year.
Exactly. So this right here, what Ace Bailey did, is not something that should be perceived as crazy, because why are teams that should be contending have a plethora of players on their team? Why are they picking early to get me, and I'm gonna come in, all of a sudden I'm sharing a bunch of minutes and shot opportunities with different players, and then they tell me at the same time, oh, we're not gonna give you the max, we're gonna give you the Kuminga treatment. Like, I think,
Yeah, nobody wants that.
I think a lot of young players are looking at that, because number 2, Kuminga should have never been drafted by the Warriors.
But then they were tanking those back-to-back years. You're talking about the Wiseman and the Kuminga draft, right?
At the end of the day, the Warriors should have been having those guys as assets. Like, the Warriors should have traded those picks away for assets.
They should have traded them 2024, to be honest with you. But that I digress. With Ace Bailey, bro, he's right in some extent, bro. You got to look after your own interest. I think with the Utah Jazz, it was very over exaggerated. I think a lot of these these guys were baiting for reactions. He reported to camp. He's made statements that he's happy to be there. I take it at face value. Obviously, you kind of have to. I'm not trying to paint the guy. He's only 19. You can't paint him as a villain. He's going to have a really good future in Utah. I think Utah is a team that he's going to thrive. They're going to give him that first they're going to give him the first option role pretty easy. He has a good team. Cavante George, Lauri Markkanen, if he's still on the team, he's an off-ball player. He's not a player that demands the ball that much. I like Taylor Hendricks coming off of injury. I like the point guard. They have Isaiah Collier. So they have a lot of good players on that team that are going to make a difference. Obviously, not Indiana, my bad. Utah cleared off some salary. It looks questionable to say the least, because I didn't really like the Colin Sexton trade for them. It seemed like they had to give up assets instead of gaining assets, which shouldn't have been the case. But I think Utah, as of right now, they look like a solid team. People over exaggerated kind of the Ace Bailey and the Utah Jazz situation big time, in my opinion. I think the whole Brooklyn Nets and the Washington Wizards was a hopeful wish by media more than anything.
Yeah, but do you think he was wrong for doing what he did? 'Cause I feel like in today's NBA, that should be a strategy, because there's no reason why some of these teams are picking so early.
It should be a strategy, because if you're an agent, you want the best for your clients. And if you're a player like Ace Bailey, you want to be the first option on a team. So, of course, like a team like, let's say, the Dallas Mavericks, is not an ideal place, because now you have to share the ball with Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, Kyrie. When he returns, you're going to have to share the ball with them. It's not an ideal position to be in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where I get it. I think as fans, we're kind of too harsh on some of these guys. You have to look at it, bro. These guys aren't making these moves out their ass. They have a whole team part of these decision makings.
True, but then I'm looking at the draft board. And I'm seeing Dallas number 1. They was in the finals last year. Philadelphia number 3. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
If I was a top pick, what the fuck? What am I going to? I'm Paul George is starting in front of me. Like, what is that?
MVP, MVP Embiid. I'm not getting the ball. Tyrese Maxey. I'm not getting the ball. You know, and you just kind of get in the stuck limbo. It makes sense why he avoided playing for them.
And remember, remember how we talked about earlier when we said the way that Houston Rockets gave Şengün and Jalen Green their extensions, it was a little bit short, a year, and that allowed them to save money and get another player. Now it might be a struggle for other players to get their their max evaluations on their rookies extension. But at the same time, if you go to a good team like the 76ers with the 3rd pick, or even Cooper Flag, it's like teams might ask them first to take a pay cut. Like, they're putting themselves in that kind of position. And it's like, and they're gonna judge your numbers versus what you could really get, because they're gonna say, oh, you only scored 20 points a game, but you're like, yeah, there's 3 other guys that are veterans on this team, and I'm in an uphill. I'm fucking Jonathan Kuminga right now.
Yeah, you want to avoid those situations big time, bro. Then you're kind of in a lose-lose situation where you're traded for basically a bag of peanuts as your team looks to maneuver without you and make moves without you, leave you behind.
Around the NBA media, I'm seeing too many personalities criticizing Bailey, man. They always have an issue when a player is trying to control where he goes, but when I don't know, it's a weird thing. I don't get it.
But I also think the Bronny situation you use for an example, I think it comes down to is Bronny's not a lottery pick. He's a 2nd round pick, so they don't give that much of a shit, and they're willing to give it much more leeway than a lottery pick like Ace Bailey.